This video is all about finding a particular side in a triangle, or maybe plane figures like this, right? So this is all about solving triangle questions and so on and so forth. Now your first step is to master what we are dealing with, right? So what I mean by that is that if you are given a question like this, you should know exactly where you are going. So for instance, here we are having this information here, so you want to find OMP. So you have to identify the exact place that you are supposed to find. So OMP, right? So the angle here, that is where we are looking for this angle. Now how do you get there? You can only get there, so this is a trick, right? So this is a trick for you to solve almost all the questions relating to triangle or maybe angle questions like this. Your first step is one, the information given to you, right? So the information, all the info given to you, is that okay? All the information. And then two, which side are you looking for, right? So which side, this should be our number two, which side are you looking for? And then finally, what do you know, right? So what do you know, right? So these are the three things I think to help you to solve almost all the questions relating to angles like that, right? So the information, so what I mean by the information, you have to look at everything. So this is one information here. So we have this angle, right? So which is 138. We also have here to be 53 degrees. And then is there anything? So this guy, very important, this arrow here, right? So what's the meaning of the arrow? So this arrow here tells me that these two people here are telling me that they are parallel, right? So they are parallel. So if these two people are parallel, you should know the definitions of that. So these are the three things you have to use to find anything, right? So how can you use this thing to your advantage for you to determine the angle missing here, right? Okay, now the first step here is to start with the information given to you. So all the information given, we know that this is a parallel. So anytime you have a parallel lines in questions like this, then one thing you have to dive into is what the alternatives angles and then what corresponding angles. So right, alternatives angle, right, alternatives angles, and then we have corresponding angles, right, corresponding angle, right? So these are the two things anytime we come across this word like this, right? So this is a parallel. So parallel means that there should be alternatives angle and a corresponding angle. So what this thing means here is that, okay, if you are someone who are already on this channel, you are familiar with something like this, but if you are new here, we have a playlist down below that explains everything here step by step, right? So the meaning of the alternatives angle is that anytime you come across something that is a parallel, so it means that alternatives means that we are going to see a Z shape within that community. So what I mean by the community is based on the information given to you, right? So based on this, so Z, this is what alternatives, meaning that whoever is here must be the same person that is going to be, right, based on the definitions of a parallel, right? So let's assume that these two lines here are parallel, right? So if they are parallel, so once I am able to find the Z shape within that, I can easily determine that these two people are alternate. So if here is 5 degrees, here also must be 5 degrees based on the definitions of the alternative, right? So or maybe the other Z, right? So let's say this is an upside Z. Is that okay? It's also from a Z if you are if you are standing somewhere here, right? So here these two angles are also going to be alternatives. So for the corresponding angles, that one forms the F shape, right? So this is somehow F, right? So this is just a symbol, the F shape. So meaning that whoever will be at the top here must be the same thing that will be at the top here. Is that okay? Right? So that means that they are corresponding. So if here is 105 degrees, here also must be 105. This can only be true if the two lines are parallel, right? If they are not parallel, you cannot apply this. So the same applies to the down here, right? So they are also corresponding. Is that okay? So these are some of the definitions that if you come across the two lines that are parallel, that is one thing that you have to focus. So if you want to apply that in this information given to us, so let's see where exactly we can apply this thing. Once you are okay with that, so let's see. Now we know that these two lines are parallel, so for sure there must be something. You see, you are always starting with the information given to you. So yes, 138 degrees. So it means that let's see if you can see the alternatives and the corresponding. So here straightforward, you can see the F shape, right? So from here to something like the that gives us what an F shape, right? So from the top here, is that okay? If I redraw this thing like this, right, this looks like what an F shape. Is that okay? So these two lines are parallel, and then here is 138 degrees, right? So here the top here is also going to be 130 degrees just by using that definitions of the corresponding angles. Okay, so remember the top to top and then down to down in the F shape. So straightforward, we can say that this angle here is going to be 130. If you want us to write a pure solutions on this thing, let's hear from you in the comment section. So you can say that angle X, so this angle here, right? So angle S and Q, right? So this is the angle from here to here. By the way, you should know how the angles are formed. I think we have some short videos at the time here. So the angles are formed if two people meet. So what I mean by two people here is that this is one person and then this is also another person. So they are meeting at this point here. So where they are meeting, that is where the angle is formed, right? So where the two people are meeting, let's say you are here and then you are walking on this road, your friend is also somewhere here, and then he is coming in this direction, you are going in this direction. Where the two of you meet, that is where the angle is formed, right? So the angle is always at the middle where two people are formed. So you should have a clear understanding of that. So here we consider the angle S, this line to N, right, up to Q. There's the angle here that is going to be equal to angle. This is the notations of our angle, right? So that's going to be angle M, S, and then P. Can you see that? So the angle at the top here. So M, S, and then P, right? So this is how you should be writing your solution. So since angle, by the definitions of a corresponding, since angle, this one is equal to that, and then we have your answer that we have this thing to be equal to 138 degrees. This is very, very simple and straight if you know what we are doing. So okay, once we are here, know where we are going to. So we want to find the values of what O, M, and then P, right? So O, M, and what and the P here. So once we get here, what again do you want to use here? Which definition do you want to use, right? Is that okay? Here, straightforward. But what happens if I am able to find the values of the side here, this side here, right? So why do I need this? So I need that because I want to use the definitions of a triangle OMX. So this is going to be a triangle because I know that the sum of all the interior angles, so anybody within the triangle, so 1, 2, 3, if you add all of them together, I should have what 180 degrees, right? So I know this definition. That is why if I'm able to get this, and so this guy will be very, very easy to find, right? Okay, so perfect. Now we have what 138 degrees on this line. So I can see that using this thing as a straight line, right? So straight line O, X, and then P. So from here to this line here can be a straight line, right? Can you see? A straight line doesn't mean it is not an angle. Remember I said that angles are formed if two people meet. So from here P to X is one line, and then X to O is also another line, right? So they are meeting at this point. So there's an angle here. Is that okay? So everything here. So this is what I'm trying to say. So you see, this is a straight line. They are forming at this point. So how many people are here? We have one person here, another person here, right? So fortunate for you, know one side to be 138 degrees. Is that okay? So 138 degrees. Okay, that is good. So we can easily find this point, right? We can easily find this point because we know that angles on the straight line, they all sum up to 180 degrees, right? You should know some of these properties. If you want us to list all the properties for you, let's hear from you in the comment section so that we can make a video on that. So great, we can say that which angle OXM, right? So this is the angle. Don't go here where the angle, look at the roots from here to here and then here, this angle, right? So angle OX and then M. Always the letter at the middle is where the angle is formed, right? So pay attention to that. So here OXM here plus 138 degrees, that is equal to 180 degrees. So we just need to find the values of this angle, which is OXM. That's going to be 180 degrees minus 138 degrees, right? So what is the values of this? So you had it, that's just going to be 42 degrees, right? So that tells me that this side here is going to be 42 degrees. Is that okay? So we are free to go. Now we are free. Have you seen how we are using the information given to us to know what we are looking for, right? So what are we looking for? We are looking for, or the question is demanding us to find the values of OMP. So OMP. Oh, sorry. O, is that OMP? So that is it. So OMP. So not necessarily OMP. This should be OMS, right? So OMS rather. Right? So P is somewhere. There's no angle around. So OMX, right? So that is the question. So we should find what OM what MP. That is what we are looking for. So this angle here, since you're able to find here, we can easily find here by which property. This is all about definitions. Once you know the definition, you just apply. Someone can use a different definition to arrive at the same point. If you know about another method here, just why don't you share it out in the comment section below, right? So if you're enjoying this video, once again, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Now since we are okay to go. We have this two sides. You can say that the sum of the interiors angle, right? So you know this definition, the sum of interior. So what I mean by the interior here, anybody within the triangle, the sum of the interior angles of what? Interior angles, right? So the interior angles of what? Triangle is what? Is what? 180 degrees, right? This is just a definition, right? You just need to pick it and apply it. Since the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is equal to, so we have a, that should be what? 53 plus what? 42 degrees plus what we are looking for, right? So OMX here, that is equal to 180 degrees. Solve for this thing and give me the answer to the values of this angle here in the comment section below, right? Okay, we have another tricky question here, so let's see how to go by that. So this is what we have, and then we want to determine the values of the x, so angle s, right? So the whole angle here. Sorry, that is what we are looking for. Now you always have to look for the information given to you. Is that okay? So maybe I'll post this question on the platform, so try and check that. But based on the diagram here, you can see that wherever you see the arrow here, this arrow here tells me that the lines are parallel, right? So if the two lines are parallel, remember what I said earlier on in the previous question, that is that you have to look for the alternatives angles and then as well as a corresponding. So those are your two key things that you have to look for anytime you come across a question that says that two lines are parallel. So here we can see that these are some of the notation that you can say. This line, straight line, this is the PQ is parallel, right? So these are some of the symbols of a parallel line. That is equal parallel to R and the X. So R and the X, meaning that they will never meet in their life, right? So look at the directions of it. This guy is going straight forward. This guy is also going straight. No one is going to bend so that they are going to meet. So that's what the definitions of a parallel. They will never meet in their life, right? Now if that happens, then that was where we give rise of all the alternatives and the corresponding angle. So this is what we have, right? So this is these are all the information. So here we are giving here to be 41 degrees, and then here is going to be 136 degrees, right? So that these are the informations that we have, and then we want to determine the values of the s. So what do you think? Just pause the video a second and then think of what to do. So maybe congratulations for just trying, right? So okay, this is our starting point. Once you have the parallel lines, then we are going to look for the alternatives and the corresponding angles. So remember, these alternatives angles give us what? A Z shape, right? So a Z shape like this or something like this. So okay, so that was all. And then the corresponding angle also give us something like F, right? So F that goes this way, or maybe F the other way around. Okay, so those are the two images that you have to look for. So as it stands here, it will be very, very difficult for us to determine the Z shape or the F shape out of that. So the trick here is that this is an angle, right? So we can easily extend this point here. Is that okay? So we can easily, this is what we are looking for, remember. So since we cannot go straight forward and determine the values of the x here, what will happen if you divide everything into two and then solve them separately, and then when we are done we can bring them together? What there's nothing wrong with that. So maybe that is just a big for us, so we want to just divide that into two and then solve that one by one, and then when we are done, we combine everything together based on what we want to use. What do you want to use? We want to use the alternatives of angle, right? Okay, perfect. Can we find that? So this is just a straightforward. Once you're able to find that shape, right? So straightforward, we can see that this 41 here alternate to the small side here. So here is going to be a 41 degrees. Can you see? Can you see the Z shape from here like this? So something like this, that it goes like this. Can you see that from here down here and then down? So here alternate to this angle. Is that okay? Because we know that the lines are parallel, right? So how do you write that? So maybe you can name here any letter of your own choice. So maybe, but remember that letter shouldn't already appear in the question. So you have so this thing can be capital A, right? We don't care about the letter that you are using. So here you are going to say that angle A, and then here you give this side a certain name. So let's say that should be, yeah, that could be capital Y, right? So any letter of your own choice. So angle A Y, right? So A Y, and then here V, you have here to be V. That is going to be equal to, right? So this angle here is going to be equal to angle Y starting from here, and then V, and then what, x, that is equal to 41 degrees by the properties of alternatives angles, right? Is that okay? So that's just straightforward. Now since we have one side, we need to find the values of this guy here, and then we add everything together. Now we find one side, so how can we find the values of the guy here? So here, what can we use, right? So always you have to use all the information given to you. So you've already consumed this guy here, which is 41, and then what about this guy? So 136. How can we use that for to our own advantage, right? So here we can easily say this is a straight line. P to Q here is what? A straight line. Alright, so P to Q is a straight line. So here you can see the angle on the straight line add up to 180 degrees, right? So this is what I'm calling the straight line. So if I redraw this guy somewhere here, you can see that here is going to be 36. And then what about here, right? So this is what we are looking for. So this side here. So the question is why are we doing that? So once you're able to find this guy, we can see that this angle alternates to the one at the down, right? So what do you think? So here we are going to have you can just name here anything of your interest. So let's say B, right? So we have 136 plus or plus B degree, that's equal to 180 degrees, right? So solving for this thing, we have our B to be equal to, what do you think that should be equal to? That should be equal to, so that's going to be 44, right? So that's going to be 44 degrees. Remember here is going to be 41. So if that is 44 degrees, you can see that this guy here alternate to this guy. Obviously, can you see the Z shape, right? You can see a very nice Z shape from here, right? So here is going to be a 44. So okay, so very simple and straightforward. So now we want to determine the values of what? X, right? So that is what the question is asking us. So angle X here, x degree, that's going to be these two people, right? So we have 41 degrees plus 44 degrees. That is going to be equal to 8 and then 85, right? So 85 degrees. So the values of the X here. So sometimes you need to extend a certain part of the information given to for you to be able to apply the definition that you want to apply. Now let's see a very nice and a simple question here in the next bit. This part of the question is all of a word problem. So you need to bring that into visualization. So what I mean by that, you should be able to draw this thing, and that can help you to have a fair idea on what to do. Now we have an isosceles triangle is of base 10. So the key thing here, you must first of all know what an isosceles triangle is, right? So that's just a name. What it means is two sides of the triangles are equal, and I'll draw that in just a second. So two sides of the triangle are equal for sure. The sides are equal, and the angles are also equal. It's of base 10. So you should also know the base of a triangle, right? Now if the equal sides, obviously, so the two sides are equal. So if the equal sides are 13 centimeters each, so this is another thing, say 13. So you want to find the height of the triangle, or based on all this information. This is what they're asking us for. to find. So we want to determine the height. So this is a triangle. Just nobody is asking you to draw this triangle precisely, right? So your calculation will determine where you are heading towards to. Is that okay? So suppose this is my triangle. So now we know this is an isosceles triangle, meaning that this side and then this side here are equal. So this is a symbol that we normally use to represent that, right? So this is an isosceles. So we know that the base means from here to this point here is all 10 centimeters, right? That is what the question is saying. So 10 centimeters, right? And then if the equal side, so if this side and then this side are equal, so that was all for 13 centimeters. And here is also 13 centimeters. Have you seen? So now we want to determine the height. So which side is going to be the height of the triangle, right? So you should know that the height is always from what? From the base to the top, right? So straight line, there's no curve. It doesn't go like this, it doesn't go like this, it goes straight forward, right? So from top to down, straight, right? So taking that from what? This point here, is that okay? So this should be what? A straight line from top to down, right? So even though this is not a straight line, maybe sometimes you can use a rule to draw that, okay? So for understanding purpose, like zooming in, this is going to be what? Our height, right? So that was the height that we are looking for. So these are all the information that we have. Now if this is a look at pay very close attention to this. If it is a straight line, that so mathematically that's what we call a perpendicular line, right? So it doesn't have any bends, it doesn't go the other way around, and so on and so forth, right? Okay, if it is a straight for that, so that tells me that this line here is dividing everything here into two equal parts, right? Because we know that the angle is already a straight line. So from here to here we have 30 centimeters, from here to here is 30 centimeters. So if there's a line that is dividing this thing into two equal parts, right? So that's just going to be the height, right? So meaning that sharing this thing into two equal, we have here to be 5 centimeters and then here's to be 5 centimeters. Right? So the line doesn't have any bend. So picking it from this point here, you move straight to the down. So meaning that you are dividing everything into equal, right? So we have here to be 5 and then here to be 5 centimeters. Now the question is, how can we determine the values of this h here? That is what the whole question is trying to say, right? So determine the height. So what property? I would say that should be the question. So what which property are you going to use to determine that? That is something that you have to pause and then think of. So this requires you to know a lot of the properties and the angles before you can easily solve any angles or problem. You cannot just use anything from your own mind, provided that it has been proven and accepted by worldwide, then you can easily use that. But for now, these are some of the things that have already been proved, so you just need to go for it and then use it, right? So what do you think? Just a second and then think of that. So that could be correct or wrong, so nobody cares about that. So make sure that you are just trying, right? So try and then fall as many times you can for you to have the right answer. Now what we are going to use here is what we call the Pythagoras theorem, right? Is that okay? The Pythagoras theorem, that's just one definition of a triangle that says that this is going to be a rectangle triangle because the line here is moving straight forward, right? So here the Pythagoras theorem says that this guy, yeah, right? So the longest side here, I think we have a full video on that. So once again, try. So the longest side here, this side here. So let's name that A, and then A square. If you square the longest side here, that should be equal to this guy and then plus the one here. So here we have 5 centimeters square and then plus 8 square, right? So that is what we say the hypotenuse square. So the longest side is what we call the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse square, that is equal to this guy is going to be the adjacent and the opposite, right? So suppose the angle is somewhere here. If you want to have a clear definition of that, just make sure that you join us the channel if you are new here, or maybe check the playlist down below for more, right? So that's the definition. So this is just a straightforward. So here is going to be the longest side, which is the A. So here we are having 13 square, that is equal to this guy down here, the adjacent, which is the 5 square plus the 8 square. That is what we are looking for. So taking the square of this one, that is going to be, so here we should have 169, that is equal to 25 plus 8 square, right? So this guy square means that 25 times 25, and then 13 square also means that 13 times 13. So here solving this one, we have what our 8 squared to be equal to, that was 169 minus 25. So that's the 8 squared. That's going to be something like 144, right? So is that correct? So 144. So how can you find the values of the 8 here? So you have to take the square root of this, so that this square will cancel out, and then taking the square root of this one, right? So here we have our 8 to be equal to 12 centimeters, right? So that is very so all about angles is that you should know what to use and how to use it. That is just the key in solving almost all the angle questions in mathematics. If you need more of this video, just make sure that you comment along, but if you gain some value from this video, once again, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to our channel if you are new here for more content like this. Thank you for watching.